There we go. Pelicans Daily. Hey. Welcome. Good day, good morning maybe, or good evening. Welcome back. Pelicans Daily, presented by Fan Arch. I'm your host, Dylan Bruton. You already know, man. When you're chilling with Dill, you already know the drill. I know it was a nice weekend and such, and I hope everyone had a good weekend. I have been on the school grind like no other, man. This school stuff is no joke, and this life stuff is no joke. But, I can't miss an opportunity to talk with y'all about those Pelicans. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. The only way we grow is when the love is there. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of news, some very interesting news. So, and I'm gonna cover a little bit more on our end as things progress down the line. But I just wanted to throw out some numbers there. But we first got to talk about that trade that we made. So obviously everyone and their mama, can't stop talking about the 2026 trade that we made in order to get Derek Queen. Now, the thing with that 2026 pick was it was a pick swap. That's one thing people don't realize. It was a pick swap. So in addition to it being unprotected, it was a pick swap with the Bucks. So the Bucks are the proprietor. You know what I mean? And when many people are kind of like curious to see what happens with Giannis, curious on how they end up doing without Dame Lillard because he'll be recovering from an Achilles injury and he's older. It calls into question about, okay, like what is the value of that pick going to be? Is it going to be something that ends up, becoming a thorn in our side and causing us problem? Good questions, right? Well, so shout out to Pelican Debrief. Shout out to my guy Chris Lambert. I know some of y'all like, but look, man, Chris a beast. He be doing his thing. But he wrote an article kind of, going a little bit more in depth. But DraftKings has projected the Bucks to win somewhere between 43.5 to 44 wins, which given the uncertainties due to the three big impactful Achilles injuries with Jason Tatum of the Celtics, Tyrese Halliburton of the Pacers, and with Damian Lillard of the Bucks, calls into question what's going to happen in the East. But the Bucks are still projected to be a playoff contender. Now, 44 wins isn't no championship, but that also isn't a lottery team. That also isn't a team that's over here rebuilding. So it'll be interesting. A lot of people kind of looked at that pick, thinking that pick was going to be turn into a top 10 to a top 5 pick, but this is just projection, mind you. We got to actually see how things go when the season hits. But right now, it's projected to be a playoff. It's projected to be a playoff pick, so that's going to be in the pick 20 range. So this just kind of further supports and goes what I'm saying of that. I don't think a lot of value was lost. I know it is crazy. Like, I'm not going to sit and deny the implication of it is crazy to trade a first round pick. But think about the caliber of player that Derek Queen can be. Think about what his potential is capable of. That's what I just want to remind y'all. Now, yes, he's going to have his bumps and bruises. He's got to get back healthy, X, Y, Z. There's all these different factors. But the pick itself, the Bucks still got Giannis Antetokounmpo. And as long as they got Giannis Antetokounmpo, anything is possible. Anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the roster isn't a championship caliber, but, they still will be competitive. They still will be a competitive team. And if you look at the East as a whole, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of uncertainty. You know what I'm saying? But the Bucks retooled. You know what I'm saying? They got Cole Anthony in the offseason, who was a very underrated player. They were able to keep guys in the fold like Kevin Porter Jr., guys like Kyle Kuzma, Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis. Still have Gary Trent Jr. I mean, it's not over for them. They can still be competitive. They can still do something and achieve something. So that's why, hey, All I'm saying is, for everybody that was having a heart attack, I understand. I'm not trying to gaslight y'all for feeling that way, because to see that news and see, wait a minute, we just traded a first round pick knowing we're in rebuilding mode. What is going on? But the value and the kind of player that Derek Queen is going to be, I think it's going to beat out whatever that pick is. And if that pick ends up being great, then that's more so on great scouting, because when you draft well from the 20th range, that comes down to your scouting, your player development. It's very rare. Like, I mean, sometimes, yes, there are can't miss players that slide that far, but it's rare the scouts are that wrong and that off. It's rare. Anyway, well, speaking of scouting, but being not being wrong, in a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal, Los Angeles Lakers star Luka Doncic was asked about who are the biggest defensive headaches for him to go up against and face, and the one name that he named was Marcus Smart, and the other, Herb Jones. Now, this praise wasn't anything new. It was a great article by Jason Gay, by the way, if you want to read it, get a kind of more insights about, Luka and his mindset going into the season, especially first full season as a Los Angeles Laker as opposed to, kind of abridged. But, I mean, Luka's been praising Herb since 2023, back in November. He said, Herb's a great defender. You see his impact today because he wasn't there the first game, but he really admires the guy. Now, it's funny that this article that Grant Mona did, and he talked about, how does Herb do against Luka? Now, Luka does put up some pretty big stats against him. Over 27 and a half, 7 boards, and 7.6 assists. But watching film and also just from the gist of Luka praising him back then and then praising him all the way up till now, 2 years later, you can tell that Luka has to work for those points. Now, I think one thing that gets underrated as a defender is when your offensive matchup has to work for their points. Because granted, scoring a lot of points is an impressive feat. It is. But when you as a defender are able to cause the offensive player to have to really grind and work hard, really have to put themselves in the right position at every single time frame to be able to get off certain shots and be able to make certain things happen, as a defender, you can't feel mad about that. Sometimes the better offense wins out versus the better defense. They say defense wins championships, but sometimes better offense wins. You know what I'm saying? So those stats are crazy, and they played in 7 games against each other, but I don't think that Luka would bring him up. Also, and he recruited him while he was doing some training camp stuff. So I don't think he would have given Herb that kind of respect and honor if there wasn't credibility that backed him. And that's just the thing that I be trying to tell people when it comes to talking about the Pelicans, because I be having conversations out loud. Everybody wants someone on our team, or people who know ball recognize and see the impact and see what we're capable of doing, right? Watching Herb on defense, he's got a long wingspan. He's able to cover a lot of foot mileage in quick timing, and he's able to read very well when to go for the steals, when to go for a block. And that's a very underrated quality, because one thing, and I talked about it with Derek Queen, happy feet. You cannot get happy feet when you're out there playing defense. An offense will take advantage of that every single time because they will know he's going to go too aggressive. He's gonna overplay his hand. With Herb might have only played in 30 games last year due to his shoulder injury, but I've been saying put Herb on your ballot for first team all defense again, and probably get some DPOY votes. I don't think it's too crazy and out the you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's too crazy. I really don't think it's too crazy to put that kind of expectation. Some might look at it as pressure. Some might look at it as, oh, wait, maybe you're putting too much stock onto it, but I'm that confident in Herb as a defender. And also think about just the amount of prioritization that was put into making sure that Herb got brought back under a good contract, make sure that all sides is healthy. It's not healthy. All sides were happy, right? So I got faith in Herb, and I think we're going to have a good defensive unit. I mean, obviously, there's still ways for us to go to become a super lockdown, shutdown unit, but Rome wasn't built in a day. And I got faith that as long as we are able, we play hard, we crash when needed, and we're able to have coverages that and people don't look at defensive, like a defensive system, the same way they do within football, but it is coverage, right? You are trying to stop the offense at every point of attack. So you have to think about, okay, if they beat us here, we've got a man right there. If they beat us there, we've got a man right there. Oh, they beat us, gets the basket. Well, we got our bigs down low. They're ready to play defense. Oh, they want to take us off the dribble. Well, we got our guys in the perimeter. So you have to think about it in totality like that. And with Herb is such a defensive wizard, such a defensive ace. He's able to do everything that you ask. He can play at the basket. He can play on the perimeter. He can cut off the passing lanes. I mean, there's no shortage in what he can do. So that's why I say, like, to get props from someone like Luka, who's one of the best scorers, one of the best players, whole nine, that means something. That means a lot. It means others are recognizing. So for those that think we out here just going under the radar, I'm going to say guess again, because the real know what's up. The Hoopers know what's up. So you gotta stay in tune. You got to stay tapped in. But I'm very excited to see what we do as a defensive unit, because I feel like if we establish a defensive identity, it makes everything easier on the offensive end. And granted, again, we're going to have our bumps and bruises. We're going to have our hiccups. But if we can put together as much congruently as possible on a solid level, we're going to be all right. We're going to be good. All right, well, speaking of being good or speaking of being all right, well, DraftKings dropped their projection for us. So it was an article they did, well, not an article, but a listing they did with everybody. And they put us at 30.5 wins, which is a 9-win improvement from last season where we won 29 games. But it is down from the 46.5, 47.5 wins that we were projected to achieve going into the 2024-2025 year. Now, I'm not going to get into every single game. I just wanted to throw those numbers out there, because at the very least, we're going up. You got to take the W's while you can. And I know I've been talking about 4th to 6th seed in the West. That is still my prediction. I stand on it. I don't care if people disagree. I don't care if people don't see the vision. When it happens, all I'm going to say is, told you so. But 30 wins, that's an improvement. At the very least, right, people are recognizing there will be improvement. And that was the thing I wanted to take away. I didn't want to get into it too deeply. I want to get more into like that as we get closer to season officially, to really look at the games of like, okay, we're winning that one, we're not winning. But you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to just put out there, folks is recognizing there is growth. And look, it ain't as good as seeing, oh yeah, they think we're gonna win 40 to 50 win games. That's fine. We gonna get there. We gonna make it. Word to Jada Kiss and Styles P. We gonna make it. But we gotta, go brick by brick, piece by piece. But at least we're not going backwards, because it's always better to move forward than backwards. I mean, come on, that's just common sense. But I just wanted to put that out there. Folks are recognizing. Now, granted, it is down from last season. There was a lot more expectation last year, especially after we made the DeJounte Murray move, especially fresh off of a playoff appearance. But we can get back into that. And in fact, I think we could do better than what we did in 2023, 2024. So, stay tuned, but this is all important news to consume. Rhyming accidentally. But I do feel like when you look at our roster in total, you look at all the pieces we have, the depth, I don't think that's a crazy prediction. I don't think that's a crazy prediction that I have either. So, take with that what you will. All right, my favorite part of the video, responding to y'all. I know it's been a little while, so I'm going to do both, and this video is a little shorter. So I'm gonna do I'm gonna do both videos of the last two. For starters, from the first video, the Creed 2020 says, I think they are terrible. The Hawks will take their pick, so we have a very little chance of getting one of them. Well, okay, you can think that, but hey, you can't really know ball and look at this team and tell me they're going to be terrible. The only way that they're terrible, knock on wood, going against, is injuries. That's the only way. But we have made improvements. And as far as the Hawks taking our pick, I mean, they still got to, if I'm not 100% mistaken, they still got to worry about the pick swap. So it's like they got they got our pick last year. I got to see how that all works out. I had it written down somewhere in my notes. But I'm not. I mean, who's worried about the Hawks? Like, are we really worried about the Hawks? Like, let's be real. Let's be real. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say to that. But Creed, I implore you to watch some games this year, and when you see us doing well, hey man, all I'm gonna say is I told you so. BS Japarish, New Orleans 3566. Not only do you need a tank, but you need the luck of the ping pong balls. Utah and Washington tank for years, yet neither has gotten the top pick. Pelicans were number 7 after the year. Having a pick does nothing for you. It all comes down to luck. Thank you. Shout out to shout out to a New Orleans resident. That Saints game was tough, I'm not going to lie. But I was really impressed with what I saw out of Spencer Rattler, and the offense looked way better. Second half, it was a different story. Just had to put it out there. Who that? I don't know if you Who That Nation, but if you are, all love. If not, still all love. But you're absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. It is so much about luck. It is so much about probability. You can be tanking for years and still not get the top pick, still not be in a position to really take off the way that you're hoping to and needing to. And that's why I'm not for tanking. I think how do you even, like, as a coach, tell your players, yeah, don't go out there and try hard, don't play. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. I come from a different school of thought, but I just can't get that. I can't get with that. And look, yeah, we got the 7th pick, and we got Jeremiah Fears, and I think Jeremiah Fears is going to be a star, potentially a superstar if he puts it all together. So I think we're good. I think we're in good standing. Quincy, you have to stop saying that young players are like other players and let them grow into their abilities, because there's only one. MJ, KB, Kobe, and KD. You're hurting the growth. I wasn't saying that these players are going to be that. I'm just saying that there's shades to their game. If you're going to compare them to somebody as far as like who do they remind me of, I was saying that. I'm not saying that they're going to be those guys. It's a lot of pressure to throw on them, but I think the top half of the 2026 class is that talented where they might potentially do it. They might not, but they have the potential. That's all. So I'm not putting them in no like, oh, that's a definite going to happen. No, I'm saying that it could if they put it all together. Church 488. In regards to Looney, you're forgetting Jonas too. Well, Jonas is not on the team anymore. I don't know what you mean by that one, Church. If we had Jonas Valanciunas, I mean, I would love to have him back on the team. You know what I'm saying? He has value as a post scorer, as a rebounder, as a mid-range scorer, but he ain't on the team no more. David Weimer 8244, one of my favorites. You know, had to save the best for last. Love all y'all, but certain viewers, they really love breaking the game down. For the 2026 draft and our draft pick, it isn't just about top talent. It's about the ability to change course midseason if things don't go well. Right now, we have win now with Zion as well as 2 rookies who could become the new face of the franchise. If midseason we're not winning and want to go all in on Fears and Queen, we can't take advantage of being bad for the rest of the season because we don't own our pick. My concern is if we are bad, we still don't lean into playing Fears and Queens because we keep trying to win. That's a good point. That is a good point. It does matter about where your trajectory is as a franchise, where you guys are at currently, and I get what you're saying on that in terms of with Zion in juxtaposition to the mindset going forth. I understand that, as well as, where does that put Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen? I get that a lot. I'm optimistic this year, David. I'm very optimistic. So I don't even think we're going to be worrying about rebuilding and whatnot. And I do feel like if we're at the point where we really feel like we need to get back into this draft, we will make a move. Now, who will get moved in the process, I don't know, but anything is possible. And some team is gonna be like, I don't really care about this draft upcoming, and they would if we called and inquired, then we get another pick. So yeah, that's just my thought. But I hear what you're saying that a pick does give you more leverage. That's something I do agree with. It gives you more leverage, gives you more comfortability, knowing okay, you know, if need be, we got this to look forward to. So I get that. Um, my guy, oh man, this is one of my favorites. I'm to do both his comments. Said this is the original Don Guillory, one of the first people to ever comment on a video of mine. He said, also, Trey Murphy has not exhibited an ability to defend or rebound at an all-star level. It is troubling to me how the Pelicans media have prematurely given Trey accolades he has yet to deserve. Telling someone how great they are could lead that person to feel like they have no more work to do in their game. And Trey needs a lot of work, especially rebounding. At 6'9", Trey should be more of a stretch four, playing at 220, blocking shots and rebounding, and Zion should be the 3. I think Trey is a very talented defender in terms of both on the statistical end and from the eye test. And he plays the passing lanes well. Guys don't really go off and score big numbers on him. Is he at Herb's level? No. But to me, I think he's one of the better 3-and-D wings in the league. And rebounding wise, he could be a little better. He could be a little bit better, but he crashes the boards well. He's aggressive. There's a lot to be positive about with him. But I do agree that there is, like, you don't want to prematurely put someone on a pedestal before they've earned certain things. I get that. I can resonate with that. As far as putting him in a stretch 4, I'm not opposed, but with putting Zion at the 3, it's kind of tough because it's like, okay, well, Zion doesn't have the shooting. And with Trey at the stretch 4, he's a little bit more like, he's not like rail thin, but he's skinnier. So it's like he's got to guard against 4s that are a little bit beefier and stockier. I don't know. But I hear what you're saying. And I just, appreciate the love as well. He said, young brother, you do a hell of a job. That's love, my man. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you. He said, Looney must be a starter as a 3-time champion getting paid $8 million to Eve's $3 million. I'm not mad if Looney's a starter just because of the veteran experience. He's not going to really need the ball much, and you know what his value is as a rebounder, as a screener, as a interior defender. I'm not mad at if Eve has to come off the bench, but I do feel like it would be good for Eve's development to play with this roster at its fullest health. But we also got to wait for DeJounte, so, things will change. All-time great. Why don't they just count as 4 points behind half court? The way it won't affect the 3-point stats. I appreciate Silver trying to make the league better, but his changes have really hurt the league, i.e. the All-Star game. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the All-Star format. I know people are kind of like what to do, what can be done. I think just there has to be more incentive, and I think you get the right competitive people. And you get the right competitive people, they'll play hard. But in terms of this rule with the half court, it's just like, dude, there's other issues to worry about, and this is what you spend the time on. And then for him to go around and say, well, the NBA is more of a highlight sport, I think that's very disrespectful. And I think it just goes to show that the league does not know how to properly service to its customer base, to basketball fans. And that's one thing I can say the NFL does a lot better at. I just got to say it. I'm sorry. Adam Silver, if you're watching this video, hate to say it, but I got to say it. Church 488. I knew Poole could shoot, but I didn't know 38% on 9 attempts. Yeah, nah. Shout out to Chris for pointing that stat out. It is important to point that stat out, though, because Jordan Poole isn't just a shot. He's not a shot chucker. He's not, obviously that's kind of like the brand of basketball that people would associate him with as a guy who's very ball dominant. But he picks his shots well, and he's a great shooter. There's a reason why he was considered like the third Splash Brother. So, yeah. Look out for those Jordan Poole, trays and bombs away. David Weimer 8244 every day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I know some days I ain't on there, but make no mistake, I'm around. It's just Whole lot going on. But appreciate you, David. You know, it's all love. Tina. Oh, I'll wait to respond to that one. Reginald Joseph 2892. Like your pa, but why do you refer to Chris so much? Time to stand. Yo, I can stand on my own too. It's just that there's not many Pelicans beat writers. And the ones that I've seen and witnessed, Chris is by far the best. And I don't just say that because me and him are cool. Like that's my dog. No. But the man is great at his job. You know, young guy, but he knows ball. And he puts a great amount of effort into his articles. He does a great job at really framing and telling a story. And that's something to me as a journalist I value. But no, I'll be when the season really kicks off and there's like I can just extrapolate and pull from just stuff that happened in the game. It's not going to be as many articles I reference. I still will reference articles here and there, especially if they're well written and if there's any information that I feel is relevant and pertinent to y'all. But I just bring him up because he does a great job of covering. And right now it's off season. Things are a little slower, but things are going to pick up soon. Make no mistake. Things are starting to pick up a little bit more, just inch by inch. But I really love this last comment. Tina Miller 2300. Thank you for your video. And I do appreciate the support, Reginald. Thank you for your video. After a rough weekend, I really need an escape, and you provided that for me. Have a blessed day, my friend. Tina. All love. All love to you, Miss Tina. Thank you. You know, that's all I try to be is a light in somebody's tunnel, somebody's path, and be someone that brings people in, brings people together, makes people feel good, and share something that I love with y'all who also love this, who love the team. And that's what it's all about for me. That's what gets me out of this bed, is doing it for the love, doing it for the passion. I'll give y'all a little brief story, but I had to do an article. I covered one of the high school football games out here for one of the teams that's really good, and they got some recruits and stuff like that. I got some good interviews, and I did an article, and everyone in my class loved it, and the teacher gave me props on it, but I didn't do it the proper format, so I got like I got marked up quite a bit, and but everyone was like, nah, like I can tell like you really love the game. There's passion behind it. I can tell you played, and I can feel that passion in your article. So with all things in life, I'm a very passionate person. That's why I tell people, like, there's one thing to get to know about me. I'm a very passionate person. And when I love doing something, it shows. When I love sharing something about something, it shows. So that's all. That's all I try to bring. But, yeah, appreciate y'all always for the love and support. Really do. It goes a long way. It makes me happy. It provides me an escape when I'm stressed. I've been stressed out my mind being back in school because it's been 3 years. But it goes a long way, and I do appreciate it. But, yeah, really do. But that's going to be it. I appreciate y'all for taking the time to keep constantly watching and supporting. We growing. Don't worry about the numbers right now. They going up. They going up. I just know it. And, you know, I appreciate y'all for being here. And it's going to be even more exciting when season kicks off fully. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's going to be some big stuff going on. We got some big plans. But that's going to be it. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. I hope y'all have a great week. Go be a blessing in somebody's life. Go spread some love. Go share some love. And tell a friend about Pelicans Daily. You know what I'm saying? But that's going to be it for this video. Y'all have a great rest of your day and such. God bless. Stay blessed.